Hello guys and welcome back to my YouTube channel, Ruben's History Show. Today I'm going to talk about the emperor who succeeded Trajan, also known as Publius Aelius Hadrianus, or just Hadrian, or who took power as the emperor of Rome following the death of his cousin Trajan on August 8th, 117 AD, when he died at the age of 63, while he was trying to travel back to Rome on a ship from the east, but then he died because he died on his deathbed while he was sick. And then there were some rumors that he led the decision to the senators to decide who was going to be the new emperor of Rome following his death. And he said that, and the senators decide that the Trajan's wife, or Pompeia Platina, should be the new emperor of Rome, or the empress of Rome, which was basically like the queen of Rome. But then it didn't happen. She didn't get that position as emperor or empress of Rome, because the Roman legions of Syria decided that Hadrian was going to be the new emperor of Rome following the death of Trajan. That his name was Hadrian, who would succeed his cousin to the throne, to the position of emperor, as the emperor of Rome. So Hadrian held that position from August 8th, 117 AD, all the way to July 10th, 138 AD. He was emperor of Rome for just 2 decades, for just 21 years as emperor of Rome. He held that position. So he was in power for quite a long time, almost the same time as Tiberius and Antonius Pius, who were in power for 23 years. So Trajan held that position as emperor of Rome for quite a long time. So, and then also after the death of Trajan, he was deified by the Romans as a Roman god in the religion, and he also attempted to invade Germania, Britain, and Scotland. That was his plan, so he could take over that land and bring it under Roman control, or under the Roman Empire at the time. But it failed because he died. Trajan died before he could do that. And then he was succeeded by Hadrian on August 8th, 117 AD, while he was on the ship trying to travel back to Rome because he was sick. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about Hadrian, who was the Roman emperor from August 8th, 117 AD, all the way to July 10th, 138 AD. So Hadrian was born on January 24th, 76 AD, in Italica, Hispania, or which is just Spain today, present-day Spain, but then it was under the Roman Empire at the time. He was born in the city of Italica, the same city where his cousin Trajan was born, or his adoptive father, when he adopted him as the heir to the Roman Empire. He was also born there. Trajan was born in Italica, the same city where Hadrian was born. So his parents were Paulina, that was his mother, and his father's name was Publius Aelius Hadrianus Afer, that was his father's name. And his father was also a senator, and his father was a senator in the Roman Senate. And when Hadrian's father died in 86 AD, when Hadrian was just 10 years old, Trajan adopted Hadrian when he was 10 years old. He was 10 years old when his father died in 86 AD. That was 10 years after the birth of Hadrian. And then also during Hadrian's time in the Roman politics, Hadrian governed provinces in the Roman Empire, multiple provinces in the Roman Empire, so he was put in charge of those provinces of the Roman Empire. He was in charge, he was put in command of the Roman legions in Syria, which was under the Roman Empire, or it was the Roman Syria, which was under the control of Rome. It was one of the provinces of Rome, which basically meant it was under the Roman occupation or under Roman rule, basically. And then also in 108 AD, Hadrian became a consul under his cousin, who was the emperor of Rome, Trajan, in 108 AD. And then also in 112 AD, Hadrian became a citizen of Athens, and he became the city's chief, of Athens, or the Archon. Athens is the capital of Greece today, which is located in Greece. It's a city in Greece. So he held that position for some time. He was the city's chief, and the citizen of Athens at the time. But then in 117 AD, he was put in command of Syria. He was put in charge of Syria. So Syria was under Hadrian's control when he was emperor. So, and then Hadrian received the letter that his cousin Trajan died, or Marcus Oblius Trajanus died on August 8th, 117 AD, and he was made the new emperor of Rome. But then Trajan attempted to leave the choice of the next emperor to the Senate, so the Senate can make that decision. But the senators decided they wanted to make Trajan's wife, Pompeia Plotina, as the emperor of Rome, or no, the empress of Rome. But it failed because the Roman legions of Syria decided that Hadrian was going to be the new emperor of Rome after his death. And that's what happened. Trajan was elected as the new emperor of Rome by the armies, or the Roman legions of Syria, on August 8th, 117 AD. And then also during Hadrian's rule, he held the position of consulship for just several months. He held that position for several months during his rule as emperor. And some senators were killed for trying to assassinate him, and he had some senators killed, and four consuls were executed for a conspiracy against the Emperor Hadrian, and they were killed because they tried to overthrow Hadrian. They tried to make a conspiracy against him, and it failed because he was killed. The four consuls and some of the senators were killed under his rule. And then also during Hadrian's rule, he went to multiple provinces. During his time, during most of his rule, he spent his time outside of the city of Rome, from 122 all the way to 125 AD. So he was outside of the Roman Empire for just 3 years. He mostly spent his time outside of the city of Rome for most of his rule. Hadrian traveled to Britain, Greece, Gaul, Syria, Spain, North Africa, Macedonia, and the Black Sea. Those were the places he traveled as the emperor of Rome. When he was the emperor of Rome, those were basically the provinces he visited as the emperor when he was emperor at the time. Also, Trajan built a temple in Rome known as the Temple of Venus and Rome, which was built in the Roman Empire, or then it was ancient Rome. He built that temple there in Rome. So also, and then in 122 AD, not Trajan, Hadrian traveled to Britain, where he built a wall over Britain. He built a wall over Britain because they were afraid that the barbarians might come into the Roman Britain, and they were going to cross the border into the Roman Britain. So Hadrian decided to build a wall over Britain, or that's known as Hadrian's Wall, which prevented the the, the barbarians from entering Britain. And that wall separated the barbarians and the Romans. So the barbarians cannot enter the Roman territory of Britain. So that's why Hadrian built that wall, so the barbarians cannot enter Roman Britain. So those were one of the reasons why he built that wall there in the first place. And then also the wall was built in Britain. It was built in 122 AD, and it's still there today. There's even pictures of it on Google. You could research it, and you could see the wall on Google. And it separated the barbarians and the Romans, so the barbarians cannot enter the Britain. So that's why the Romans built the wall in Britain, so the barbarians cannot enter the barbarians cannot enter the Roman Britain, or Britannica at the time it was called, and now it's the United Kingdom today. So, and then Hadrian was also went to Turkey at the time in 123 AD. It was between 123 AD or 124 AD, where he met Antiochus, who was Antoninus. Antoninus was a Greek, a Greek, and he met him and he kept him constantly. And Hadrian was also a homosexual because he liked a man. He liked a man, which was Antiochus. He met Antoninus, who he met in Turkey at the time, or then it was Asia Minor. It was Asia Minor at the time. That's what it was called. And he met him there at the time. And yeah, he met him there at the time, and he kept him constantly. And that was kind of gay because he was a man and he liked another man, so that was kind of gay. And that was strange why he kept him constantly. And then also during the last years of Hadrian's rule as Emperor of Rome, the Christians were causing problems in the East. So Hadrian had to go there and he had to take care of the problems with what was going on in Judea, because there was a major revolt. There was a revolt that took place in Judea known as the Bar Kokhba, which was a revolt led by Sabian Bar Kokhba, who was a Jewish who thought against the Romans. He was a Jew, so he thought against the Roman legions when he was in that revolt. And also, then Hadrian showed up there in Judea in 135 AD, and he put an end to the revolt. He suppressed the revolt, and the revolt was over at the time. And then also under Hadrian's rule, the Christianity was starting to spread into Rome. It started spreading into Rome because the religion was starting to spread into the city of Rome, and it was spreading into the city of Rome during Hadrian's rule. And then in 136 AD, Trajan turned 60 years old at the time, and his health was pretty bad because he was starting to get old. He was 60 years old in 136 AD, and Hadrian announced that the emperor of Rome will be the Roman senator Lucas Commodus, who would become the emperor of Rome. But it never happened because he died, and because he was in a pretty poor health and he was coughing out blood, and he became known as Lucas alias Caesar, who would die in 138 AD because he was sick at the time. And he died when he was when he died in 138 AD, the same year when Hadrian died on July 10th, 138 AD. So Hadrian died on July 8th, 138 AD at the age of 62, and he ruled the Roman Empire for just 21 years, from 117 when he succeeded his cousin Trajan, and all the way to 138 when he died at the age of 62. So following his death, the new emperor of Rome was Antoninus Pius, who was the emperor who would succeed Hadrian as the emperor of Rome on July 10th, 113 AD, and he would hold that position all the way to March 7th, 161 AD. So he held that position as emperor of Rome for 23 years. And I'm going to talk about that in my next video, about the long rule of Antoninus Pius in my next video, and I'll see you guys there.